Okay, bro. So this is the sample, the demonstration of how to use Rsync to create the backups, right? I'm just going to do something small to demonstrate how you can be creating the backups with Rsync. So my memo background kakra. We will service we will SaaS server we NFS server we ɛno na me hosti me creating network server, network drive, network file system, right? And so the file system is like another drive, an attached driver me Ubuntu server no. So no NFS is like the hard drive me dash computer but then I'm broadcasting that hard drive to all the other machines on the network, right? So I've created that network system. So this machine has an IP address, and then my SUSE machine this one too is on the same network as this guy. So also on an IP address, but then on the same network. So this machine can communicate with the server, right? Okay, so that's the background. So over here, this is the SUSE machine. You can see that I have if I open, let me come here, come to the home. So you can see over here at this remote side, you can see I've mounted the network file system, the NFS file system. I've mounted it on my SUSE machine, so my SUSE machine can see whatever is in the file system, right? So inside the file system, these are the things. Okay, so with the file system too, this is the file system server, the NFS server. But because I'm not doing it here because my hard drive it fails a lot if I'm like communicating with the machine directly. I have the server on my hard drive and then the SUSE machine on the actual system drive, so there's a little bit of like lag, and then so maybe, but that doesn't, it's not important. So I just have the NFS server here, and then drive submit this command. Okay, so I have the NFS server here, and then NFS is running here. You can see that I run NFS, the systemctl, right? So it's running in the background over here. My mouse tool doesn't show here, so basically on the SUSE machine I have connected to the NFS server via SSH, right? So on normal highlighting, I've connected to the NFS server via SSH. So on the left side, this side is for the NFS server. This is the NFS server, and then this side is the actual SUSE machine, right? So on this side I have SSH'd into the NFS server, and then on this side is the actual SUSE machine that I want to create a backup of. Okay, so if I run on the NFS server, I want to show you the drive for the NFS file system. If I run df-h, you can see not df-h, df-h. Oh, I've forgotten this command. What was it? Checking some command I use. I run, let's just check the history. And yeah, so I run this command rather here. So df-h. So on the SUSE machine, you can see that I have the network, this network thing here, right? This network. So this is the IP address of the NFS server, right? And I've mounted it to, this is the mount point of the NFS server, of the drive, right? And this is the size of it. And then this is how much I've used so far of it, of the drive. And then this is where I've mounted it, you know, on the SUSE machine, right? So you can see all of that here. So basically I've mounted it here, right? So let me clear everything and then let's start fresh. Okay, so what you want to do is, maybe when you want to create a backup, let me cd out of this directory. So right now I'm working in the NFS server, so I'm cding out of the drive. You can see that this directory, I mounted the drive on the NFS server to this directory. So in fact, let me go to the root directory, and then if I type ls, you can see that here in the media folder or the directory, I mounted the NFS drive in media, so slash media, and or even there's a better way to even show you. So I can do I can cut /etc then /exports, right? And then over here you can see that this is the directory where I've mounted the drive, right? And this is the IP address that I'm allowing other people to be able to connect. So people on this network should be able to communicate with it. And this is the subnet mask of the network. And these are the permissions I'm giving: read and write. And then this no subtree check is a security something that so it's a security something. So basically I've mounted it in this directory. So now if I go into that directory, cd into media, and I type ls, you can see when I was doing samples, I did one before, so let's ignore this one for now. So this is where the actual drive is, right? So you can see cd into NFS, and cd into that, and then we can see the directories now. So the documents and the server backup. So if, let's say for example, I create sudo. Okay, so I've created a file, right? I've created this test file here. So if I come into my SUSE machine, I should be able to see the new file over here, right? And type issue. Or in fact, if I go to where I've mounted it on the SUSE machine, so now I'm here in the SUSE machine, right? So I can cd, so we can ls, right? And then I've mounted it in the media directory on the SUSE machine. So cd into media, and what is the name of the thing? So nfsdri, right, directory. So cd into nfs, and then we can see the folder. So that's the drive, that's the name I gave it, and you can see the new text file and then the server and all that. So before you create the backup, what you have to do is, what I think you should do is to first of all create a folder or a directory for the specific machine that you are coming to backup. So even before that, you can see that if I type lsl to show the permissions, I changed the permissions for where I want to keep the backups, just so that I can be able to write to it. So you can see that for this documents folder, it is owned by root, and the ones owned by root, I can't create files inside it, right, from another machine. But then the files owned by the regular user, no, so long as I provide the password, I can be able to put files inside that folder, inside that directory, right? And this file, this test file I just created right now. So basically you can just change the permissions and the group of the file, and then you can do that with, so for example, let me do that example with the documents directory. So for that one, you can do ch own, and then you can type the name of the user, so nfs, and then colon, and then the group of the user, which is usually the user's name, so the same nfs user, right? And then you type the name of the directory you want to change the permissions for, and then when you press enter, oh, I'm always forgetting sudo permissions, thank you. So if I type lsl, now you can see that the user permissions and everything has changed. Now I am the normal user is this one. So you do this because you want Rsync to be able to write to it, right? So so after creating maybe a directory where you want to be keeping the backups, right? So that directory is going to be, let me clear this place. So that directory is this server directory. So that is where I want to keep any backup that I want to do. So the folder for all the backups, right? The parent folder. So so the SUSE server that I did know. So I think you should also create, because all machines no be print, you know. I think so for every machine, yeah, you just write it via, maybe you can use the IP address or the domain name or the host name of the machine itself, provided it won't change, right? So that you can keep track of which folder is which, and which backup is for who, and which backup is for who, right? So so this is for the SUSE server. So remember, I've SSH'd from my actual server, the NFS server, in the SUSE server, but then this folder here is meant for this whole system that I'm running the SSH on, right? So so now we can start with the Rsync. So that's the background of the whole project. So now I think on SUSE, on this SUSE machine, when I was starting with Rsync, it wasn't installed. So you can always install it with the normal sudo right. And I think for me they have installed it, so you can always install it with that command, right? So okay, so now I can cd out of here, and let's say I want to back up. Let's say I want to, for example, I want to back up the home directory, right? So the reason why, before we even do that, the reason why I think we should use Rsync is because Rsync is an incremental backup system. So for the first time that you do your backup, it will do a full backup of everything. But the next time you run the same command, it will only grab the new things that were modified, right? And then it will add it. It is like how the Python script that I wrote, you know, it is working similar to that way, where it will only get the new information, the things that have been modified or whatever, no? Then it will update the actual backup you are doing, right? So in order, so we want to back up the home directory, right? And the command that we have to use is rsync. So rsync, rsync. So rsync, then we use these options or switches. So a, v, z, and let me explain the a, v, z. So if we go to the rsync page, one is for the A is for archiving, the V is for verbose, and then the Z is for compression. So rsync dash dash help, and over here you can even go through these options. Maybe you can also add your own options or modify it, because you see you can even add passwords to it when it does the thing. You can even you can also even tell it to delete anything. If say maybe you deleted something in the directory, then the next time you run the command rsync to also delete the file you deleted in the original this one, right? And then you see, so for this one like this existing, so it will skip creating new files on the receiver, on the destination server that you want to do. So actually you can go through these options and then you can see which one you want to use, and then you can use that. So as I was saying, the A, this is the A. So the A is for archive. So it will be creating, it will use an archiving system, right? And then the V is for verbose, and then the Z is here, compression. So it will also compress the files during the transfer. So you can modify it whichever way you want. You can add or remove, in whichever way that you want to do. So that is with the options, right? So what we want to do is rsync, then the option A for archive, V for verbose, and then Z for compression, right? And then we define the directory that we want to back up. So we want to back up the home directory. So the home directory is here in the slash, the slash is the root directory, then home, right? Then you give space, right? Then so rsync works over SSH. Rsync does the backups over SSH, right? So you have to configure an SSH. It won't it does the transfer over SSH. Or maybe you have, maybe for instance, maybe so over physical drive now the share machine media, you can always do the directory. Maybe also mount the pen drive share Linux machine one. It is usually mounted in the MNT or the media, right? So you can also do that. But then because I'm transferring it over a network file system, I'll have to use it over the SSH. So I first need to define the username of the network file system, and that username is the NFS user. So NFS user, that's the username of the system, right? And then then the IP address, the normal way that you connect to an SSH machine. So the IP address is 10.0.3.13, right? Then you give a column, right? Then you define the destination where you want to put the files to. So the destination, we want to put it in the file system, the network file system, right? So that destination is going to be in the media over here, Oshwe Hasea, in this directory. This is where we created this one. This is where we mounted the hard drive, the network file system. So in fact, we want to put it inside this SUSE server drive. So inside this SUSE server directory. So if I let me cd into it, and I don't think there's anything there. For this date thing, ignore it. It's a mistake of mine. So Infan says she needs to say server anymore, right? So what you do is, maybe you, as I said, you can create a directory for after mounting it. That is if the whole transfer over a network file system or something. You can always use a pen drive, yeah, any destination. Maybe you want to send it to another folder on the same system, right? You can also do that one. So all you have to do is define the directory that you want it to go to, right? So I want us to mount it to this directory on the network file system. So when Rsync is going out, it will go to this machine, the network file system, via SSH. Then it will go to the drive directory. So it will go to where we've mounted the drive. Then it will go to the directory where we want to put the files inside. So we want to keep it inside the SUSE server 01, right? This directory over here. So that is where we want to keep it. So now we have to, so now we can just go ahead. We are done with the command. So we are going to back up everything inside the home directory. So let's look inside our home directory. So this is everything inside the home directory. So this is everything inside the home directory. You can see I have some screenshots here. We can see semicolon, I think I created. You can also see the terminal keylogger. The terminal keylogger cry. You can see script na Troy, it will also update, because the terminal keylogger is also working in the background, but that one's a different story. I also have this folder here, Linux administration.txt, so we have data inside the home directory. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so back into the terminal, which means that if I run this command, everything in the home directory should now be on the NFS server, right? So now I can show you ls. There's nothing here. It's only that's this folder here, so there's nothing there. Okay, so now if I press enter, and then you see over SSH, so it will ask you for the password, the username and password, right? So like the normal way you connect to SSH now, so you enter a password, and then it is copying everything in the home directory, everything, even the cache files, from the browser and everything. It's copying everything. I shouldn't have done the home directory because it doesn't. Okay, baby, okay, so it's done. So you can see that it has sent this number of this bytes of data, blah blah blah. You can see all those details. If some errors were done, you will see them as well. So because this is the first time we've run the script, the rsync, because this is the first time we've run the rsync, you see it has copied everything in the home directory, right? But then before we do our checks, let's just confirm on the NFS server to see if say your home directory na ba one man pampa. So if I do ls, we should see home. Good. So which means we have the home on the NFS server. If I cd into home, I should see my username, and yeah, so it's backed up all the usernames on the home directories, right? So that home directory, it's here, home, you see all these folders, right? So that's my username is a thorn, no? And you can see all them documents, no? And nyomana net does will be bringing in here. It's our hidden files, no? Right? And then we can see the terminal keylogger, everything. We can see the documents, no? Yeah, you can see the Linux administration folder bina file be shape, no? In fact, everything in the home directory has been backed up over here. So that is one way. That means that we have done the backup. It's working now, right? So what if we want to do another backup of the same machine? Maybe I update TBB, and then we want to do another backup. So for instance, if I go into the documents folder, and then let's say I create a new file or a new folder, right? A new folder, let's call it test fold, and inside it I'll create a new file, create a new text file, and then we'll call it what, test.txt, and then usually hello, then world, right? So we'll save that and then we'll close that. So now we have a file inside the documents folder. Previously it is only the Linux administration that is inside the documents folder, right? So now if we run the same rsync command without modifying anything, it should back up the things that have changed in that directory alone. It should only back up the things that have changed in that directory alone. So if we run the same command again, and I'm pressing enter, and I enter the password as usual, SSH, and once I wait here and check, so it has, because this cache, the cache things is always happening. But you can even see, you remember that the terminal keylogger, no? You see that it always updates after we run a command. So you can see that after the terminal keylogger, no, script, no, Python script, no, after it executes, it creates the enc file. Now you see the enc file. So anytime that I enter a command, the Python script executes, right? So I hope you remember. And then it creates a file. It creates a file here. So that file, anytime it modifies the file becomes new, and then whenever we run rsync, it will see it as a new file, and then it will back it up. And then here you can see here that the new things, no? So we have the home, the tone in the document, the test folder. So we first created a folder, and then we first created what, a test file, and then we can confirm over here on the NFS server. Let me clear the screen, and then if I do ls, we can now see the test folder here, right? So that's it. It's the once you run it once, then the moment you run the first command once, you can use it to it will do along everything. But then the next time you run the same command, it will only go and get the new things. It's working very similar to the script, you know. So the next thing that we can do, and to make our work much more effective. I know, sir, you were like, we shouldn't write scripts and all that. But even before that, I want to even show you one thing. This one, for this example, I've only showed you backing up the home folder, the home directory. But you see the command that we can back up the roots, everything inside the roots directory. Let me clear the screen. So we can back up everything. We can back up everything in the roots directory, which means we are going to back up the bin, the etc, which is where the installed files and configurations they know. The home where the user's data is. You have the dev, the mnt, the root, like everything on the system. You have so CBB crash and you can use the same command, the same rsync now to run the command, and what you do is that you just modify the command. So you can see that over here we did home, but then once you change it to slash, the slash means home directory, the root directory, sorry. The slash pet to baby, it means the root directory. So once I press enter, it will start backing up everything. And me you know, I mean ensure I mean cancel. It will start backing up everything. etc, then the lib, the lib directory, then it will change right now. It will back up everything. And say we can say you're trying my deal area, you're free has a because it will back up everything. So on your side, no, maybe you're backing up a system, and down there you know say you're backing up the whole system. So you can let this run. So don't run it for 1 hour, cry. Just let it run, and then it will just copy all the files over. Because this is the first time to, the next time that you run the command, you don't necessarily have to wait this long. The next time that you run the same command for the root directory to only get the new things that were modified. You get it? So you don't have to bother cry. You can even see that it's even getting the ones, it's even backing it's it's even backing the NFS drive itself up. I don't know, it's even this is a mistake. It shouldn't be doing this, but it's doing that. It's backing everything in the root directory. You have everything. So let me cancel this. Yeah, let me cancel this. So if I come here again, let me cd back. And then I lsi. You can see that it has gotten everything in the root directory, and then all those things are inside the folder we created. Say ABR server 1. So maybe this be server 1, and then you create a folder. So everything inside we know say okay. So everything inside this folder is for that server. So maybe you can do your own, maybe so say server sp5 server sp5, right? And then the same server now, but maybe sp1, so that you have the sp1 version, and then you have the sp5 version. So then there will be longer. Maybe I will sp1 now also sp5, and once I go for sp5 in your one. So we be now go now also go back to 1, and once I go for sp1 in your one. So the most important thing is to make sure that you are always, like, you don't forget to do a backup after something. So let me delete everything inside this directory because too much. So let me cd back. And then let me delete rm, then rf, and then SUSE, right? And then we'll clear everything. Oh, dash rf, sorry. Remove by force permissions. Okay, yeah. So we don't have anything there. Let me create the directory fresh. So let me do mkdir. Okay. So cd SUSE, and we don't have there. So we've cleared everything that was there, right? So basically that is it, right? But we can go a step further, and we were like no scripting or anything, but I couldn't help myself. And I also like realized, like, when I was learning it, like I didn't medi practice now, so I might as well show you. So if you use it, fine. If you never use it, so basically, I know. that is this script, the backup script here, this sh. So this one is a bash script, right? And essentially what is inside is, so let me cd let me nano into it. Okay, so essentially in the backups, in the script, first of all, you see normal bash script there, we always call the bash, this one, the bash daemon, right? The bash program. Then what I'm doing is I'm putting in the same commando, but then this time I want Rsync to run, and put everything and organize everything according to date, right? So here we are creating a variable, and then inside that variable we are running the date command, and this date thing is a command. So inside Linux, any Linux machine, right, we can do date, and then it will display the day, the month, the date. So today is second. I'm shooting this at midnight, and yeah, 12:58 to midnight, and then AM UTC, and then 2024, right? So that is the date command, right? So basically we are getting that date command, and then we are filtering out the few things that we want. So basically we don't want this Sunday thing, we don't want this, we want the June thing, but we want it in a number form, right? So we don't want the time, but we want the second. So 2nd June, then ignore this time and AM and then UTC, and then 2024. So those filtering out and ignoring this Sunday and then the time, I know in quotes now I say no. So single quote, then plus percentage capital F, right? Then you put all of it inside the bracket. So basically that is it. And then we are running the same rsync command. So the next line is that we'll run the same rsync command. So rsync avz, and then if we are backing up the home directory, we'll back up. So maybe if it's the root directory, then you just do it /p. Then you put in the NFS server if you are using a server, or maybe the directory where you want to do the backup to, and then you add the destination. So for me this is this one. So maybe if you are using a normal pen drive, you don't need to add a destination, but because we are doing this over SSH, so we have to add this part. But then AB has a drive bin out the machine anymore, you can just do this slash, this one here, and say space between the source and then the destination. That's very important. So at the destination, you can see we are putting it inside the SUSE server directory, and then now we are adding our variable. So this backup date, so it will create a date, it will create a folder, right, with the name of the date, with the date. So when bash gets the date that we are running the command, it will create a folder and then put all the backups inside that folder, right? And that's all. That's everything. So let's test it. So, and then yes, you also have to make it executable, right? You also have to give it execution permission. So you can do that with different chmod plus x, and then the name of the file, right? And that will give it execution permissions. So you can see that I've already done that. So we can now run the script, and then we can say so sudo, because it's a root thing, and then we can say / then maybe bash backup script.sh. So it will automatically ask for the root password, and then it will now ask for the SSH password, and then it is backing up everything in the home directory. So if you do your own the root directory to do, because this is the first backup, you see we've deleted the old one, so it's doing it fresh, right? So this is everything in the home directory. So now if we come here to the NFS server where we've sent our backup to, right, we can ls, and then we can now see that it has created a folder with the name, with the date. The name of the directory is 2024 June, so 06, right? And then the date, so 2nd, right? And then that's all. So then when you cd into that directory, and then let's ls, you can see that we have the home, and then let's ls and slash home, then maybe Thorn, that's the username, rn, and then oh sorry, I brought this first slash. So you can see that we have all the backups here, everything in the home directory. It is a root directory now. Yeah, you have everything in there on the system in the root directory, every file on the Linux machine inside the date. So you have a date that you run that command. So the next time maybe such now I'll be run a command now, it will create another folder. This folder won't be deleted, right? It will create another folder with that current date. So maybe along the lines, no, which one has those one, then you go feel maybe you can start deleting some of the backups, or maybe store them in another place. You understand? Because the more you run the command, the more it will write. But right now, if we run the same command, it will give us the same folder. But maybe if it's tomorrow, because tomorrow is a new date, it will create a new folder. That's it. So that's the whole point. So it's the same concept too. If we create a new file and everything, the next time that we run it, it will only get the new things that were updated. And you can see that the terminal, the commands that I've entered inside the terminal, the script, the Python script from that time, that one has modified, and this one, the cache working in the background. So that is that. I hope it is well. So Bibiania Igofi Halami, I'm really excited for this.